You can eat outside. Greg didn't lower his voice. He didn't smile. He didn't pretend it was a joke. 23 people were seated at the year end party. 23 chairs. Apparently, none for me. Someone laughed, not loudly, just enough to show they understood the hierarchy. Why waste a chair? He added. No one said anything. They just watched. That's what workplaces do. They don't interrupt. They observe, and then they remember who has power. My name is Beth, 34, single mom. 3 years at that warehouse. I trained new hires, handled premium holiday orders, stayed late when shipments backed up. I wasn't management, but I understood how things worked. And more importantly, what didn't. Greg had been there 3 months. Owner's nephew, new operations manager, 26, confident, untouchable. At least that's what he believed. The changes started quietly. Broken scanners assigned to me, heavier pallets assigned to me, earlier shifts that forced me to pay more for childcare. When I asked why, he smiled. Team balance. That was his phrase. Always neutral, always reasonable, impossible to argue with directly. So I didn't, because rent doesn't wait, and pride doesn't pay bills. The party was supposed to reset things. White tablecloths, cheap decorations, a speech about family. Greg stood near the front, glass in hand, talking about growth, efficiency, standards. Then he looked at me and removed me from the room without moving me. You can eat outside. Just like that. Simple. Public. Final. I took my plate, walked outside. Cold air, plastic fork, no chair. That's when something settled. Not anger, not embarrassment, clarity. I did it because 2 months earlier, I had noticed something. I handled the premium candle line, the expensive holiday sets, marketed as clean burn, reliable, safe. That was the promise. Then the supplier changed. Quietly. No announcement. No explanation. The wax looked slightly different. Burned slightly longer. Smelled slightly off. Subtle but consistent. Customers started reporting headaches. Nothing severe. Nothing that triggered alarms. Just enough to notice. I flagged it internally. Sent reports. Forwarded complaints. Management reviewed everything. Then made a decision. Sell through existing inventory. Switch suppliers next quarter. No recall. No announcement. Just timing. I didn't argue. Not then. Because I had already seen how decisions worked and how easily they could be redirected, especially by someone like Greg. Around that same time, people started talking about me differently. She looked stressed. Working too much. I'm not sure she's handling things well. Small comments. Casual, but repeated. Enough to exist, enough to matter later. I recognized the pattern, not immediately, but clearly. If I raised concerns alone, it wouldn't become a discussion about product safety. It would become a discussion about me, my tone, my stability, my credibility. And I would lose. Not because I was wrong, because I couldn't prove it in the right way. So I waited, and I documented. Batch numbers, supplier invoices, internal memos, complaint summaries, no assumptions, no conclusions, just records. Because information doesn't need emotion, it just needs timing. For 2 weeks, I prepared something simple. Small printed cards, short, clear, no accusations. I know tone, just facts. Ingredient change, decision date, holiday timing. Anyone who read it could understand. Anyone who understood could decide. The party gave me something I wouldn't get again. Everyone in one room, management, supervisors, team leads, no filters, no delays, just exposure. So before anyone arrived, I placed one card under every plate, even Greg's, even the owner's. No one noticed because no one was looking for it. That morning, I also mailed product samples, 2 packages, 2 consumer reporters. No explanation, just one line. Burn for 3 hours. That was enough because once something is experienced, it doesn't need to be explained. When I walked back inside after eating outside, Greg was still smiling, still confident, still certain. He thought the moment had already passed. He thought the story had already been written. He didn't realize it had just started. The first call came the next morning, 9:12 a.m. A wholesale client. Short, direct. Have you changed suppliers on the premium line? The supervisor didn't know what to say. He transferred the call, then another came. Different client, same question. By 10:30, 3 more. Same pattern, same concern. No one raised their voice. That's what made it worse. Because calm questions mean something has already started moving. By noon, industry blogs picked it up. Not headlines, not accusations, just small posts, observations, burn time differences, scent inconsistencies, reports of headaches after extended use. Nothing dramatic, nothing definitive, but enough. Enough to create doubt. And in business, doubt spreads faster than facts. And the warehouse felt different that day, quieter, phones ringing more often, supervisors speaking in lower voices, people checking their screens longer than usual, trying to understand something that wasn't being explained. Greg stopped smiling. That was the first visible change. Not panic, just a loss of certainty. He walked the floor twice. Didn't say much. Didn't need to. Everyone could feel it. At 2:15 p.m., I was asked to come upstairs, the owner's office. Greg was already inside, standing near the wall, not sitting. That told me everything. Power shifts show up in posture first. The owner folded his hands on the desk, calm, controlled. Did you know this would happen? Yes. No hesitation, no explanation, just the answer. Silence. Greg turned toward me slowly. You did this. I didn't argue. I shared information. He exhaled sharply, like he was trying to contain something. She sabotaged us. I shook my head. No, the decision was already made. That landed, not loudly but clearly, because everyone in that room knew it was true. The owner opened a folder. Papers already inside, supplier invoices, internal memos, complaint summaries. He had everything, because I had sent it the night before. Not as a warning, not as a complaint, just documentation. You mailed samples, he said. Yes. You distributed cards at the party. Yes. Each answer was simple, because complexity creates space for argument, and I wasn't giving them that. Greg stepped forward. You could have come directly to us. I did. 2 words, quiet, accurate. The owner looked at me, thinking, replaying something. 2 months ago, I added. That's when it clicked. Not suddenly, but enough. Orders were paused by the end of the week. Not officially, just delayed. Clients asking for confirmation, requesting clarification, holding back. Confidence had shifted. And once that happens, everything slows. Greg didn't speak for the rest of the meeting. He stayed near the wall, listening, calculating, trying to find where control had slipped. But it wasn't one moment, it was accumulation. Every decision, every delay, every assumption that no one would connect the pattern. The owner leaned back. We can't continue like this. He wasn't talking about the candles, not really. He was talking about the situation, the exposure, the pressure building from outside, and the instability inside. We can't keep you here, he said. Not angry, not defensive, just practical. You've made it impossible for us to operate normally. That was the conclusion. Not about right or wrong, about function. 2 months severance, mutual separation, no legal escalation. Everything contained. Greg would no longer oversee operations, family boundaries, internal adjustments, quiet corrections, all of it designed to stop the damage without expanding it. I listened, nodded once, because I already understood something. When you move information into the open, you don't stay where it started. You leave. That's the trade. I signed the papers that afternoon. No negotiation, no argument, because staying was never part of the outcome. As I walked back through the warehouse floor, people avoided eye contact. Some looked at me, briefly, then away. No one asked questions. No one said anything. That's what happens when something shifts too fast. People don't process it, they distance from it. Greg was near the loading dock. He saw me, paused, didn't speak. For the first time, he didn't look certain, not defeated, just unsure. And that was enough to show the change. Not clean, not complete, but real. Within weeks, the damage spread further. Orders dropped, not all at once, just enough to feel unstable. Shifts were reduced, schedules adjusted. People started checking the board more often, looking for their names, looking for hours, looking for certainty. 4 employees were laid off. One of them was Kim, 52, caregiver for her husband. She had never said anything to me, never laughed, never looked away. She had just worked. That part stayed with me. Not the party, not the comment. Kim. 3 days after I left, she called. Her voice was steady, too steady. I got the notice, she said. 2 weeks of pay. I didn't interrupt. I heard what happened, she added. I waited. My hours were cut first, she continued. Then they let 4 of us go. No accusation, no anger, just facts. Like a report. I don't think you were wrong, she said. A pause. I just think it cost more than anyone expected. That sentence stayed, because it didn't try to simplify anything. It just existed. That night, my daughter asked why I was quiet. I told her I left my job. She thought for a moment. Did you do something bad? No. Did someone else? Yes. She nodded. Then why are you sad? I didn't answer right away. Because right and clean are not the same thing. A week later, the industry updates came in. The warehouse switched suppliers. Publicly, quietly, no admission. No explanation, just a correction. Greg was reassigned. No longer managing staff. No announcement. Just removed from control. The system adjusted. Like it always does. Without acknowledging why. For a moment, it felt balanced. He humiliated me publicly. The company faced public pressure. Control shifted. That equation made sense, but equations don't include collateral. They don't count people like Kim or the other 3. They don't include reduced hours or quiet stress or families adjusting to smaller paychecks. Those things happen outside the calculation. 3 weeks later, I started a new job. Smaller company, stronger compliance, clear reporting, no family hires. The pay was better. The structure made sense. Everything looked cleaner. But clarity doesn't erase memory. Before my first day, Kim texted me again. I don't think you were wrong, she wrote. I just think it spread further than you intended. That was the second version of the same truth. Not blame, not forgiveness, just observation. And it was accurate because once information moves, it doesn't stop where you want it to. It keeps going. Through systems, through people, through decisions that weren't part of the original moment. Greg tried to make me feel small, in front of everyone. He thought humiliation was control. It wasn't. Information was. And once that shifted, Everything followed. But power shifts are never isolated. They ripple through budgets, through roles, through people who never chose to be involved. If I had stayed silent, nothing would have changed. If I had spoken sooner, maybe the damage would have been smaller. There isn't a perfect version. Only versions with different costs. That night at the party, I felt small for about 30 seconds. After that, I felt clear. Clear about what I knew, clear about what I would do. He removed my chair. I removed the illusion. Neither action was quiet. Neither action was clean. That's the part people don't say out loud. They want stories with a winner, with resolution, with something that feels right. This wasn't that. This was a shift, and everything that moved with it. Greg lost control. The company lost stability. Some people lost their jobs. I lost the place I had built for 3 years. All of it connected, all of it real. Standing up for myself wasn't wrong. Documenting decisions wasn't wrong. Sharing information wasn't wrong, but once it started, I didn't get to decide where it ended. That's the part that stays, not the moment. The consequence. He told me to eat outside, in front of everyone, like I didn't belong. I walked out with a paper plate, came back with something else. Not anger, not revenge, just clarity. And clarity doesn't stop at the person who caused it. It moves. And sometimes it takes more with it than you expected.